Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, in the English news from Djibouti channel. They are the top stories of our news editions tonight. The head of state received two delegations from Somalia and Kenya. Also in national on continental news, official visit of the Sudanese president to Damascus, capital of Syria. Welcome if you join us on Djibouti channels. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, received today the Deputy Prime Minister of Somalia, Mr. Mahdi Mohamed Guleh. The Deputy Prime Minister of Somalia has extended a congratulatory message to the President from the Federal Republic of Somalia, Mr. Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo. This visit is part of strengthening of the bonds of friendship and fraternity that united the two peoples and the two countries. Deputy Prime Ministers of Somalia, Mr. Mahdi Mohamed Guleh, thanked the head of state for his warm welcome and hospitality. This delegation staying in Djibouti to participate in the Forum of Intellectuals of the Horn of Africa, currently held at the People's Palace today. The President of the Republic also received a delegation from Kenya, led by Mr. Yusuf Hassan, and including the Governor of the Somali region of Kenya, Mr. Ahmed Abdullahi. This visit is part of periodic consultations between authorities and officials of two countries to straighten this straighter ties between the two people. The head of delegation, Mr. Yusuf Hassan, thanked the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, for this warm welcome and his hospitality. This delegation takes part in the work of Forum in Intellectual of Horn of Africa. Shortly after this meeting with the President, the head of Kenya delegation, Mr. Yusuf Hassan, said that this meeting will enhance the ties of friendship and fraternity between the two brother countries and the two people. Mr. Yusuf pointed out that the Forum of Intellectuals of the Horn of Africa aims to hasten regional integration and to forge stronger bonds between people sharing many common values and having the same origins. The head of state also went this morning to the People's Palace to follow the debate and discussions of the Intellectual Forum of the Horn of Africa. This meeting is in line with a series of militant acts aimed at encouraging the engagement of Somali intellectuals of the diaspora of those living in the country of the SIP region to act in favor of the resolutions of the problems of the under regions and avoid tensions between the different ethnic groups. Moreover, the legitimacy of strong central power in Somalia can only be established when politically stability and security have been secured throughout the country in a sustainable manner. Co-organized by the Institute Heritage of Mogadishu and the Institute of Political and Strategic Studies of CERD, the Forum of Intellectuals of the Horn of Africa has the value of consultations, exchange, and search for lasting solutions to the problem of Somalia and the sub-regions. Speaking at this meeting, the head of state said that main matrix of this meeting of intellectuals is based on the identification of intelligent process, allowing the Somali people to live in harmony.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Marwoyin yawmudanayal.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Djibouti, your second country. This forum of Somali intellectuals that lasted 3 days and to which you have discussed about finding solutions on the development and good governance of the Somali people has come to an end. For me and for the Djiboutian people, it is an honor and a real pleasure to welcome you, to listen to you, and to benefit from our reflections. I'm absolutely convinced that the recommendations of this forum will show the way to anyone who would like to have a clear sight on the right decisions when it comes to politics, social policy, and also security. The Horn of Africa, located at the center of the world, is the bridge that connects all continents, and it is the main way to trade oil and others. As history can attest, the level of importance of the Horn of Africa has never been in vain. As you know, it is our responsibility to provide the economic lunch. It is our duty to ensure that the entire population of the Horn of Africa can have a decent life, a common well-being, and overall a lasting peace. You all know, like me, that since the appearance of the pirates, that was the result of the civil war, there has been no one to monitor the Somali coastline. Apart from the situations of the Somali coast, tribal problems have had unprecedented impact on all the neighboring countries. This is for the Somali to see the heavy responsibility that lies before them, not only of the neighboring countries, the region, but also the international community. The changes which the Horn of Africa has experienced lastly, and those of the future, required us to know their advantage, but also their inconvenience, their disadvantage. This obliges us once again to have a vision on the long run vis-a-vis the world situations and the countries of the regions. It is highly important to watch overall the natural wealth that each country possessed and that are the foundations of its existence. Finally, the Horn of Africa has IGAD, which is in charge of cooperation. In this region, for instance, the Republic of Djibouti and Ethiopia have done a lot of things that are important in terms of regional integration, which should be taken as an example.
The President of the Republic, Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, offered yesterday night at the Presidential Palace an official dinner in honor of the participant of the Forum of Somali Intellectuals, which is held these days from 50 to 17 December in our country at the People's Palace. The dinner offered by the President of the Republic is in line with the series of acts militant in all directions of encouraging our countries, the two brothers nation, in the legitimate quest to return to lasting stability. Is correspond precisely to the total adherence of our country to the objectives of the Forum of Somali Intellectuals held in Djibouti these days, co-organized by the Heritage Institute of Mogadishu and the Institute of Political and Strategic Studies of the Djibouti CERD. The Forum of Somali Intellectuals in Djibouti is the basis of for consultations, exchange, and search for lasting solutions to the problems most prominent among Somali people.
Why
In his speech, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Margili, welcomed the Somali intellectuals. He added that his main pastor is based on identifications of intelligent process, allowing Somali peoples to live in harmony, in peace and stability on one hand, and with others, a community on the others. Its originality lies in the provisions of innovations, idea and expertise necessary of the efficient use of available resource and the creation of new wealth for the long-term marginalizations of conflict and hostilities, often triggered by the prolongations of economic difficulties and financial. By offering the Somali elite a platform for discussion, the Republic of Djibouti is once again demonstrating its determination to provide multifaceted support to the Somali brothers nations. There is no questions for our country of limiting its support to Somalia to the deployment of an interpositions and security force. No, it's a question of confining our support to this brotherly country at the periodic address of humanitarian support. It's an earlier questions of our country and the hosting of the Forum of Somali Intellectuals to the perfect illustrations to accompany the Somali brothers people on all levels until it completely recovered its former status. In the concert of nation, President Gili added that by offering the Somali elite a platform for discussion, the Republic is once again demonstrating its determination to provide them the multifaceted support to the Somali nations. The President, in the second part of his speech, stressed the importance of this meeting.
baahida loo qabo in la ballaarsado mar walba salka ayaduna meesha way taala.
Ladies and gentlemen, the need to solidify our goal is more than fundamental for all of us. We sincerely hope that a consensus can emerge from these foundations and that we can meet next year if the Almighty allow us. And you must continue to materialize all the things that are born from these reflections. When we pay attention to other think tanks, there is what is for the good of all, and that all people contribute without knowing it. It comes first and foremost, and it is the responsibility of every person to contribute. Those who are the handcraft of the common sense influence writers and intellectuals did not arrive there. We did not arrive there, but it is highly important to awaken our people consciousness so that we work for the common good. Knowledge and know-how are today the weapon of competitiveness in the world, and our people are not aware of the war of ideas. And the only way to fight this war is to be united so we can defend ourselves mentally. It is our responsibility to help our people to find their bearing and their houses, but also their place, the place where they belong.
The Prime Minister decorated today the ambassador of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Djibouti. The Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed received the Roll of Honor, the ambassador of the farewell of His Excellency Abdul Aziz ibn Abdullah Al Dawood, the ambassadors of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to Djibouti. The meeting took place in the presence of the Secretary General of the Premier, Mr. Naguib Abdullah Kamil, and the Prime Minister's Technical Advisor, Mr. Ali Silai. Mr. Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed expressed to the Saudi diplomat at the end of the mission that the testimony of esteem and friendship at the height of the Arab fraternity and being the people of Saudi and Djibouti. The Prime Ministers congratulated the diplomat and awarded him distinctions. The Prime Minister has decorated the ambassadors with the Medal of Officer and the National Order of 27 June. On the day of Sunday, Lieutenant General and the Corps of the General of the Armies of Djibouti, Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, General of Staff of Army Forces, attended the arrival of the Hill 4 Battalion from Jalalaqsi in Sector 4, Djiboutian Military Command. This rotation, the first of a long series that will last 50 days, so the arrival of the first elements. In his trip, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim was assisted to General Tahir Ali Mohammed, Chief of the Defense Staff and senior military official. Recall that the Hill 4 Battalion, deployed since 2016, spent 2 long years in Jalalaqsi in hostile territory located in Sector 4 as part of the fight against Al-Shabaab military. Indeed, the Republic of Djibouti participated since 2012 in restoring the peace of our brothers country Somalia, and under the banner AMISOM, led by the African Union through the deployment of the 2 strong battalion of 2,000 men. The first rotation left Jalalaqsi early this morning on board 2 helicopters bound for Beledweyne, where the soldiers were able to use our national plane Air Djibouti. When we got off the plane, our brave fighters were greeted by the Chief of the General Staff of the Army Force, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. It was also an opportunity to thank the pilots of the company Air Djibouti. Thus, after the greeting of honor, the military base through various workshops, including the first place of the air police and borders of the issuance of entry visas. Then our brave soldiers were able to complete with the process in effect after returning from all military operations on a theater of war, namely the identification of person by the Department of Military Security, which filters any intruders. Then come the time of the mandatory medical check in order to detect any anomalies. On continental news, the Sudanese head of state made a short visit to Damascus on Sunday, where he met his Syrian counterpart, the president of Syria, with Omar al-Bashir's first visit to Syria since the outbreak of the revolt in 2012.
Sudanese president on Sunday became the first Arab League leader to visit Syria since civil war erupted there nearly 8 years ago. Omar al-Bashir was greeted at Damascus airport by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad before they headed to the presidential place where they held talks on bilateral relations on the latest development in Syria and the region, according to the state-run news agency. Syria was expelled from the 22-member Arab League soon after war broke out in 2011. Arab countries have sanctioned Damascus and condemned Assad for using overwhelming military force and failing to negotiate with the opposition. Sudanese president on Sunday became the first Arab League leader to visit Syria since civil war erupted there nearly 8 years ago. Omar al-Bashir was greeted at Damascus airport by Syrian President Bashar al-Assad before they headed to the presidential place where they held talks on bilateral relations on the latest development in Syria and the region, according to the state-run news agency. Syria was expelled from the 22-member Arab League soon after war broke out in 2011. Arab countries have sanctioned Damascus and condemned Assad for using overwhelming military force and failing to negotiate with the opposition. The reason for Mr. al-Bashir's visit was not immediately clear, but with the war in Syria winding down in favor of Assad as his troops capture key cities and population centers, some Arab officials have expressed interest in exploring the restoration of ties.
We visit our editions tonight. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.